My daughter pointed at me with a dish towel in her hand, as if it were a weapon. You either do what Brandon asks or get out of this house. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask her to repeat herself. I simply looked at her. Standing in the kitchen I had renovated with my own hands inside the house I'd paid for with 42 years of my life. Then I turned to the coat rack, took my jacket, and walked out. That was the moment everything changed. Not with an argument, but with the door clicking shut behind me. Before we continue, please like and subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. You won't believe what happened next. The grocery bags were cutting into my palms by the time I reached the entryway. The keys were still warm from the ignition. The soft Montana spring light filtered through the windows, casting golden strips across the floorboards. Martha and I had refinished with our own hands back in '03. Usually light like that would have made me smile, but that day it only made the dust easier to see. Brandon was already sprawled across my recliner, the one Martha gave me before the cancer came. His socked feet were kicked up like he owned the place, remote balanced on his stomach, and one of my Coronas hanging from his fingers. "Hey Walt," he mumbled, eyes still glued to the game. "Grab me another one while you're up." I set the grocery bags on the counter. 2 gallons of milk, a loaf of rye, and eggs. I'd spent the last of my Social Security check on things for the house they lived in, the house I paid for, and yet Brandon's voice, bored, casual, entitled, cut through the air like a dull knife. "Corona, not that cheap stuff you drink." I didn't say anything at first, just stood there facing the refrigerator. He hadn't even looked at me, just assumed I'd obey. "Brandon," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I just walked in. Let me put these away first." He didn't move. "What's the big deal? You're already standing. I'm comfortable. Don't make this a thing." That's when Natalie walked in from the hallway, her blonde hair pulled back in that hurried ponytail she always wore when she didn't want to deal with things. "What's going on?" she asked, looking between us. "Your dad's being difficult," Brandon said, still not looking at me. "I asked for a beer, and now it's a federal case." Natalie gave me a look I hadn't seen since she was 16, disappointed, a little embarrassed. "Dad, just get him the beer. It's not worth the fight." Brandon stood up slowly then. Taller than me, broader too, but not smarter, not wiser. "Here's how it's going to work, Walt," he said, stepping close enough that I could smell the hops on his breath. "You live here, you contribute. When I ask you for something, you don't question it. No attitude, no back talk, just do it." That's when Natalie joined him. She wasn't yelling. She didn't need to. Her voice was calm, cold. "Dad, you need to decide. Either you respect Brandon or you find somewhere else to live." That was the moment, the quiet crossing of a line. I looked at them both, my daughter and the man she married. I searched her face for the little girl who used to crawl into my lap during thunderstorms, the one who used to braid dandelions into crowns and call me her hero. She wasn't there. "All right," I said. Brandon smirked. "Good, now I'll pack," I interrupted. He blinked. Natalie's jaw dropped slightly. "They thought I'd do what I always did." Shrug, mumbled back down, but not this time. I turned and walked toward my bedroom. Behind me, the grocery bags sat untouched on the counter. I didn't hear a word from them as I rolled my suitcase from the closet. The green one, the one Martha and I took on our trip to Yellowstone back when we still believed we had time. I packed slowly, deliberate, 3 shirts, 1 sweater, 2 pairs of slacks, the shaving kit I'd had since Vietnam, my reading glasses, my notebook, the photo of Martha wrapped gently in one of my old undershirts. It wasn't about grabbing everything. It was about reclaiming something. Outside the door, I could hear them whispering. The urgency in their voices rises with every passing minute, but I didn't stop. My hands moved calmly, folding the same way I'd folded Natalie's baby clothes decades ago. And then I wheeled the suitcase down the hallway. Brandon had returned to the recliner. Natalie was now by the kitchen, arms crossed, trying to look composed. No one stopped me. No one said goodbye. The Buick started on the first turn of the key. I didn't check the window to see if they were watching. I didn't look back. The 27-minute drive to Pine Haven was quiet. Just me and the hum of the tires. I passed the old church where I'd once walked Natalie down the aisle. I passed the high school football field, where Brandon used to yell at referees like it was his career. The town hadn't changed, but I had. When I pulled into the gravel lot of Pine Haven Motel, it felt more permanent than it should have. The neon sign flickered. The siding was chipped, but the woman behind the desk didn't ask questions. Room 4, first floor, non-smoking, paid in cash. The room was small but clean. A bed, a chair, a TV I wouldn't turn on. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my notebook. I flipped to the pages that mattered. Natalie's tuition, $38,000. Her wedding, $24,000. The down payment on the house, $78,000. Mortgage assistance, groceries, utilities, insurance. I stopped adding after $200,000. Because what I needed now wasn't math, it was clarity. They hadn't kicked me out. I'd allowed myself to stay too long. I wasn't punished. I was waking up. I opened my laptop and logged into my online banking. I stared at the screen for a while. Then I clicked on the tab labeled recurring payments. Found the mortgage, found the insurance, found the grocery cards. The cursor blinked at me waiting. The first click canceled the mortgage. The second ended the car insurance. By the time I closed the browser, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: weightlifting. Not revenge, not even satisfaction, just the beginning of something I thought I'd lost: self-respect. I leaned back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. They didn't know what I had just done. Not yet, but they would, and when they did, I wouldn't be coming back. The motel room was quiet that morning. Not peaceful, just quiet, and there's a difference. Peaceful is what you feel when the world outside you has softened. Quiet is what's left when you finally silence the noise you spent years pretending you didn't hear. I sat at the little desk by the window, coffee cooling in a foam cup, my notebook open beside me. The pages were worn, corners folded, the spine soft like it had been opened 1,000 times because it had. That notebook had tracked every dollar I spent keeping someone else's life afloat, and today, it would track how I took it all back. I turned to the inside cover, a message from Natalie, 16 years old, blue ink and loopy handwriting. "Thanks for believing in me, Dad. I'll make you proud." She had for a while. I looked at that note longer than I meant to. Then I turned the page, took a sip of lukewarm coffee, and made my first call. First Montana Bank. Hold music, a hollow instrumental version of Home on the Range. Fitting, I thought. I'd had a range once, a family, a home. Now I had a room with thin walls and a blinking desk lamp. "Thank you for calling First Montana. This is Daniel. How can I help you?" "Yes, Daniel. I need to cancel the automatic mortgage payment for 1931 Jasper Ridge Lane account ending in 4887. There was a short pause, typing the kind of pause that always follows a request that sounds too calm to be casual. "Sir, I see that payment's been active for 27 months. Are you sure you want to discontinue it completely? May I ask the reason the homeowners no longer qualify for my assistance?" Silence again, shorter this time. Then Daniel said, "Understood, Mr. Granger. That will be effective immediately." He read me the confirmation number. I wrote it down. $1,246 a month, going back into my account. I didn't smile. I didn't sigh. I just moved on to the next item. Second call, Summit Insurance. Brandon had added both his Silverado and Natalie's Honda to my policy 3 years ago. Said it was temporary. Everything with Brandon was temporary except his expectations. "Hello, this is Karen, with Summit Auto. How can I assist you?" "Yes, Karen. I need to remove 2 vehicles from my policy. A 2017 Chevy Silverado and a 2014 Honda Accord. They're no longer part of my household." She asked for the VINs. I had them. Of course I did. I'd paid the bills every month. I'd watched Brandon's truck get new tires while I drove on old ones. I'd paid $282.77 per month to insure 2 vehicles I never touched. Karen confirmed the removal, said they'd have 10 days to secure new coverage. I made another note in the notebook. Auto insurance terminated. Confirmation number recorded. Then came the cards. Natalie had been an authorized user on 3 of my credit cards. Visa, MasterCard, Costco. It started during her honeymoon just for emergencies. 5 years of shoes, groceries, electronics, cosmetics, spa visits, all in my name. I told myself it was love, that helping her was part of being a good father. but helping and enabling aren't the same thing. I see that now. Visa was polite, efficient. Removing an authorized user won't affect the existing balance, Mr. Granger, the agent explained, but she won't be able to make new purchases. That's exactly what I want. I repeated the process with the other two, each time the same quiet relief, like untying knots that had been cinched too tightly for too long. By noon, I'd candled over $2,000 in monthly drain. I printed every confirmation, organized them into folders, labeled and stacked. One for the mortgage, one for insurance, one for credit. This wasn't vengeance. It was recording. Clean, legal, irrefutable. Then I sent an email to my attorney. Subject line amendment request. Richard, please update my estate file. Natalie and Brandon are no longer in my residence. Financial support has ended. Let's schedule a review of the will. I want everything ironclad. Send. I stared out the window for a moment. The view was nothing special, just a parking lot, a gas station, a few birds fighting over a fast food wrapper. But the air felt different, like I could breathe again. At 1:37 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Natalie. Hey Dad, I think something's wrong with the mortgage. Can you check? I didn't answer. Then a call from Brandon, straight to voicemail. I listened to their messages in order, one by one, like chapters in a book I already knew the ending to. First, confusion. Dad, the bank said the mortgage bounced. That can't be right. Right. Second, frustration. Walter, my truck insurance lapsed. I had a meeting today. What the hell? Third, fear. The bank's demanding full payment by Friday, or they'll start foreclosure. Can you please call me? Fourth, desperation. Dad, did you cancel the cards too? I just got declined at the store. Fifth, anger. This is sabotage. You're punishing us over a stupid argument. Sixth, pleading. Dad, I didn't mean it. We didn't mean it. Can we talk? I saved every message, then transferred them all to a USB drive, labeled it voicemails. March 2025. I wasn't planning a court case, but I believed in documentation. If they ever tried to paint me as unstable or worse, I wanted the truth preserved. Later that afternoon, I walked down Main Street. The hardware store was still there. So was the bakery where Martha used to buy cinnamon rolls every Sunday. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. I wasn't just a father anymore, not a sponsor, not a backup plan. I was a man walking forward for the first time in years. When I returned to the motel, I opened my laptop again, searched Montana property deed transfer. Then I picked up the phone and called my attorney back.